Hello and welcome to Military Mantra. In this interview, we have today an author, Jayashree Lakshmikant, who is an upcoming author with her new book called Kumar, which is about Major Sudhir Walia, Ashok Chakra, Sena Medal to Bar from the 9th Para Special Forces. In this interview, we'll try to understand her journey of writing this book and various learnings and understanding that she has while she was researching about the topic and also about various insights about the book which is about to get launched. So thank you, Jayashree, for coming on this interview and welcome.
Thank you so much, Akka. Thank you.
So, Jayashree, my first question to you would be, when you first time heard about Major Sudhir Walia, so how was your experience and what was going into your mind, and then you made a decision to write a book about it. So, if you could describe that experience for us.
Okay, so let me give a little bit of background as to how this thought came into my mind. It was in the month of September 2021 that I came across a tweet by somebody known to me. I mean, I had not met her at that time, and I just knew she was, working with her families, and that Sudhir Walia was her childhood hero. So she used to often tweet about Major Sudhir Walia. So in the month of September 21, she had put up a tweet to Shiv Arur and Rahul Singh asking them to write about Major Sudhir Balda. And this was around the time when Shersha was either already released or a talk was going on about it. Then I think there was a book about Captain Vijay Thapar. We were hearing that there would be a book about Captain Anuj Nair. So I was a little, and in 2021, I had just started writing about armed forces from 2019. So I was fairly new to the whole thing. And that's when I wondered that by then, of course, I was aware of who Major Sudhir Walia was. So I kind of wondered that, why is she asking them to write about it? I'm sure, given the kind of things that Sudhir is known for, somebody must have written about him. Again, back then I was not sure, not aware about the intricacies of special forces and nine para and all that. So I searched on Google, and obviously there was no book about him. That's when the thought came in my mind that why not write about him? Because his is a journey. I'll sum it up in one line. It's like a journey from being insignificant to becoming unforgettable. He came from such a modest, humble background, and the kind of things that he did and he achieved. So I thought this was a story that has to be told, and this is motivation for anybody and everybody. And it's a lesson for those who say, कि, "Oh, we did not have the necessary resources, वरना हम भी कुछ करते." So that is the reason that was the only reason that motivated me to write about Major Shiva.
Got it. So just a curious question that so you do not have any background in armed forces as such? Is that correct?
Not at all. No
Okay.
family from in Forge, totally civilian. 2016, I started writing. After the movie Uri, I wrote my first article. After watching the movie Uri, I wrote my first article on armed forces in 2019, and that's where my journey about writing about armed
Okay.
forces started.
Because now that's interesting. So, how did you actually research about it and verify the details about Major Sudhir Walia's life and also his military service? So, how did you go on the research process and verifying that for your
So the
book?
way at the very onset, at the very beginning, I connected with your family,
Okay.
and Vikas Manhas was the person who connected me with the family. And once I got in touch with the family, they had enough documents in the sense that they had their his service records and all that. So that's the basic thing that you need. The service records kind of had almost everything, and that is where I got the outline for his life. Like, this is the outline for which you can write. Because if you have to cover the journey of 11 years, it's going to be a long thing to write about.
Hmm.
Also, we just needed to write the broad outline of his life. So the details were right there. So the challenges were only about reaching out to people who would have been a part of the journey. So
Hmm.
as far as verifying the details was concerned, yes, the service records were there. So most of the details were there.
Got it. So, I have one more question. So, is the book about a specific phase of Major Sudhir Walia, or does it encompasses both the life before joining Forge and also after it?
So it has got the key events of his life, starting from childhood, Sainik School Sujanpur, NDA IME. Forge Art, Nine Para, ADC, Kargil, and The Last of Us.
Okay.
Having said that, uh, I have not. This book is not related to operations or Forge Art or Nine Para. This is about the man. This is not about the soldier, the officer. So I have tried to, the book has got a lot of anecdotes which tells us as to what kind of a human being he was, whether as a brother or as a son or as a fellow officer or as a senior or whatever.
Okay.
So it's got a lot of anecdotes which can, bring out the character of the book.
Mhm. So Jashi,
So
you
in effect, it's his entire life.
got it. So Jashi, you have titled it as Kumar. So what does Kumar actually mean?
It's not Kumar, it's Kumar.
Okay.
So Kumar is just a different version of Kumar.
Okay.
Kumar has been spelled as Coomar.
Okay.
And there is another reason to it which is mentioned in the book, which I do
Okay.
not want to reveal.
Got it. Got it. So I just have one more question that so in your opinion, when readers read your book, so what are the various lessons that they can learn from Major Sudhir Walia's story? So what do you think?
Oh, there are a lot of lessons to learn from Major Sudeep Wonderful because, like I mentioned earlier, he came from a very humble background. He
Yes.
belongs to a place, he belongs to a family which was a non-English speaking community. Right. Now, even today, if we go to places like Panoli and Palampur, you will not find, जैसे बॉम्बे दिल्ली में होता है वैसे हर कोई इंग्लिश में बात नहीं करता वहाँ पे. It's a very select population that may be probably converted to English. लेकिन वही आदमी then he goes on to, become the ADC and he's gone to the US and topped the course. So it that itself shows the efforts that he has made, the determination with which he wanted to do all those things. That is one aspect. The other thing is throughout the book, if when you read it, you'll come across a person who was always very optimistic about life. Nothing was impossible for him. He never thought anything would be
Mm.
difficult. Any problem that came to him, he would be like, हाँ हो जाएगा, कर लेंगे. That was the kind of attitude that he had. And when he wanted to join Nine Para, he was totally determined, totally persistent. मतलब जान लगा दी उन्होंने वो सिर्फ volunteer certificate अपना approve करवाना. So
Mm.
every step of his life, he has there is a lesson. After achieving all that he did, Nine Para हो गया, ADC हो गया, US course में top कर लिया, बड़े सारे courses में top कर लिया. One could have been arrogant, one could have been proud, one could have wanted to, forget the route. कि भैया मैं तो पहुंच गया जहां मुझे पहुंचता है, मुझे अपने गांव
Mm.
वालों से क्या लेना था. But as you read the book, you will realize that he stayed grounded. He stayed in touch with everybody that were a part of his life and that had were a part of his journey. And anybody would come to him with a problem, he ensured that छोटे से छोटा आदमी आएगा उनके पास प्रॉब्लम लेके वो उसकी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर. He was so very connected to his troops, to his men, and he was always humble.
Got it.
So many lessons to learn from his life.
Got it. So Jaishi, you spoke about few challenges that you faced, like reaching out to people to get the right information who have worked or operated with him. So other than that, have you found any other challenge while you were writing this book? Like the fact that Major Sudhir Walia has a lot of fan following, and because a lot of people know his story already. So writing a book which is up to that expectation is also a very challenging job in itself.
My answer to that is what people know is not. There are certain deviations to what people. You will definitely have a few surprises in the book from what you have known on social media. Okay, that is one thing. Secondly, whatever people know is just the क्या कहते हैं, skeleton of the uh, thing. Whereas, as I mentioned earlier, there are anecdotes in this book which will tell you how he did what he did, or which will give you a क्या कहते हैं, एक अंदाजा आता है कि वो किस तरह के इंसान. So obviously, there's a lot there is new in the book, and जहाँ तक meeting the expectation is concerned, well, uh, there could always be more. There will always be people who will say that, oh, there was much more that could have been written and so on and so forth. But my point is, after 23 years, there's so much that has been written. And
Mm.
I guess that's an achievement of a kind for me.
Got it.
Because, like I told you earlier, I come from a civil background. I do not have any other book to show people or tell people, okay, hello, this is already my work here. So I am new to anybody that I approach. And
Hmm.
they would be obviously, matlab, how does somebody trust me with the information? Civilian है, उसे क्या पता, कैसे लिखेंगे, sensationalize करेंगे, क्या करेंगे? तो वो एक doubt भी होता है. But then, like I said, I had already charted a map, a roadmap for the book. The chapters were decided. So I just had to fill in those details. And yes, 11 years of service, 9 years in 9 para, there can be a lot that can be written, but I
Hmm.
have covered the key aspects.
Got it. Jaishi also spoke that you met the family. So how was that
Yes.
experience for you when you first time met them, and how was that interaction with them?
So I lived with the family for a few days in November 21. In December 22, November 22, again, I was there for one final visit. December 22, again, we were together. So it's more like a family interaction now. It's more like, I'm a part of the family now because I've gotten so much involved in the book. What was tough was to get them to speak about the final journey of Major Sudhir, to get them to speak about how they were informed that Major Sudhir was hit and he was killed in action. Those were really tough because I had to go back, make them go back to those painful moments. And it was tough for them also, and was tough for
Got it. So Jaishi, in your book or any anecdote which you remember, which is very, let's say, very powerful, which you connected with, if you could describe that, if you're okay with, and why do you feel it was so powerful? If you could tell this.
Okay, so there are, like I said, there are a lot of anecdotes in his book, and there are a lot of anecdotes which will actually touch you. That, oh, I mean, how can a person be like, oh, one of the anecdotes that I can mention here is that when he had applied for the Sainik School Sujanpur admission, um, they had to, in those days, they had to get the form attested by a gazetted officer. So his father, and you can imagine when he was going to Sainik School, he was the youngest in his class. He was
Hmm.
just about 10 years old. So he accompanied his father to this officer uh, near in their area, and his father was made to sit for one entire day. The officer did not come out to meet him. The next day they went again. Father and he were sitting there till lunchtime. And when the officer came out to meet him during the lunchtime, he kind of yelled, मतलब बड़े नाराज होके उन्होंने बोला कि क्या है, क्या चाहिए आप?
Hmm.
तो अंकल जी told him कि ऐसे ऐसे है, इसका एडमिशन फॉर्म है, अटेस्टेशन चाहिए. So
Hmm.
the man said कि मेरे पास इन चीजों के लिए टाइम नहीं है, ये सब मुझसे क्यों करवा? So then uncle had to, like, tell him a lot many times and kind of request him again and again that it's just a matter of one signature and his admission will be done. Sudhir was watching all this. अब आप इमेजिन कीजिए एक 10 साल के बच्चे में कितनी मेच्योरिटी होगी, वो कितना रिटेन करेगा. बट व्हेन ही बिकेम द एडीसी,
Hmm.
उनके पास बड़े सारे रिक्वेस्ट आते थे कि हमारा ये काम करवा दो, हमारा ये अप्रूवल करवा दो, और कई लोगों को वो जानते भी नहीं थे. But he would always ensure that whatever help he could do, he would do that. So one of his friends asked him कि यार जिन लोगों को जानता नहीं है उन लोगों की सिफारिश कर देता है, ऐसे क्यों करता है?
Hmm.
That is when he narrated this सैनिक स्कूल वाला इंसिडेंट, and he said जिस दिन उस ऑफिसर ने मेरे पापा पे, मतलब पापा को डांटा था, उसी दिन मैंने मन बना लिया था कि अगर जिंदगी में कभी भी किसी पावर वाली पोजीशन पे पहुंचूंगा, तो आई विल ट्राई एंड हेल्प एज मेनी पीपल हु कम टू मी एंड एज मेनी पीपल एज पॉसिबल.
Got it. Got it.
So that kind of tells us a lot about the person that.
Got it. So Jashi, if because you have written a book about Major Sudhir Walia, if you could tell us, few of the personal qualities that you felt Major Sudhir had, because of which he was great soldier that he was, and also a great leader. If you could, highlight that.
Yes, like I've already told you, he was always positive. There was nothing that was impossible. He was always determined. Uh, some of the things that people told me were that was that if they got a tip about some anti-national elements hiding somewhere, and if they had to go there, चाहे कैसा भी मौसम हो, चाहे कोई भी अड़चने हो, अगर सुधीर साहब हैं तो he has to go. There is no looking back.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no point of comparison here कि दूसरे ऑफिसर्स क्या करते थे और सुधीर क्या करता था, but this
Mm-hmm.
is what it was with सुधीर. And
Got
अगर
it.
सुधीर साहब है तो nothing could stop him if he was hell bent on it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very connected with his troops. वो हमेशा उन लोगों को ये इस तरह की एडवाइस देते थे कि पहला, अगर तुम्हारे घर में कोई प्रॉब्लम है, तुम्हें घर पे अगर जाने की जरूरत है, जहाँ पे तुम्हारा काम कोई भी कर सकता है, लेकिन तुम्हारे घर पे तुम ही जा सकते,
Mm-hmm.
please go. Please take, if it is important, then pay attention to your house. Do
Got it.
your courses well. Do whatever training you have to do before you get married, and do that. Or you will be surprised to know कि जब कोई छुट्टी पे जाता था, one of his days was told me कि जब कोई छुट्टी पे जाता था मैम, साहब उनको बोल के भेजते थे कि घर पहुंचने के बाद फोन कर देना कि आप
Mm-hmm.
पहुंच. I mean, I think these are the best kind of qualities a leader would have. If I had a boss like that, I would go gaga over.
Yeah, true. Actually, a lot of people who have worked with Sudhir Walia, sir, so they have spoken similar things. I have spoken to few people who have operated with him, some of them from Nine Para. I interviewed somebody called Major Abhay Sapru, who is also an author.
Right,
He's from the One Para
right.
Special Forces. He
I met
narrated
him in the.
uh, he narrated a story to me during the interview where he was operating with him in the Kashmir Valley. So they got a clue that there is a terrorist, and he used to go with his team, Abhay, sir. So he didn't get any terrorist, but
Yes,
when Major
and
Sudhir goes and he takes the risk, he finds that person. He looks completely normal. The terrorists look completely normal, and he finds him, he shoots him, and then he comes back. He takes that risk right over
absolutely.
there.
And that is also one thing which a lot of people who served with him told us, that he had an animal instinct. मतलब उन दिनों में मिलिटेंसी पीक पे था, वो लोग कई दिनों के लिए जाते थे, कई बार जाते थे, और कभी उन्हें कांटेक्ट होता था, कभी नहीं होता था.
Hmm.
लेकिन जिस दिन उन्हें कांटेक्ट होने वाला होता था, फॉर सम रीजन मेजर सुधीर वुड गिव अ क्लू टू द पीपल विद हिम, टू हिज मैन, कि आज तुम लोग ज्यादा सतर्क रहना, मेरे मुझे लगता है आज जरूर कुछ होगा. एंड
Hmm.
ट्रू टू दैट, उस दिन कांटेक्ट होगा, उस दिन मतलब कुछ होना है वहां. So a lot of people, even seniors told me that he had this gut instinct. He had, you know, he knew that this is a place that you will get the kill or you will get a contact, and he was fairly successful.
Got it. So Jaishi, I would take you a little bit ahead, the beginning of his journey. Like not many people know about it. Like how was his childhood like? And not before, probably before Sainik School. How was that childhood like? If you could summarize that for us.
So, like I said, we all know he came from a very humble background, and he was very close to his mother, very close to his mother, because his father obviously was again in the army and could be posted out all the time, and it was only his mother that he was with. And even as a young 10-year-old child, he used to help his mother with the household work and all that. And to the extent that when his मतलब उन्होंने बोल तो दिया था इसमें कि मुझे भी अच्छे स्कूल में जाना है और इनकी जैसे ब्लेजर्स पहनने हैं. But when his Sujanpur thing got through, and when he had to leave for Sujanpur,
Hmm.
he was he was really sad because he had to leave his mother. And he actually went ahead and asked his mother कि यहाँ पे हमारे यहाँ पे ऐसी स्कूलें क्यों नहीं है, सुजानपुर क्यों जाना पड़ रहा है, why do I have to leave you and go.
Hmm.
And that was the day his mother told him that you are the eldest, and we do not know whether we will be able to give a similar kind of education to the other two or not. But if at least you are educated and if you do well in your life, you can take care of
Got it.
it. And I would not be wrong in saying that he carried this thing of the sense of responsibility till the end of his life.
Got it. Got it.
He was a very responsible son and a
Got it.
responsible.
Uh, so Jaishi, so Major Sudhir Wale is actually a very inspirational figure, as we all know, because people who have read about his story, they probably consider him as an inspiration for themselves. So before you knew him and now that you know, so what differences do you find in yourself after you know a person like Major Sudhir Walia?
In the journey of writing this book, I have been able to meet a lot of legends from Naisara. And the one lesson that I have carried from this journey is that every time I met these people, I would just end the meeting by saying that, no, sir, it's an honor meeting you and meeting a legend like you. And the answer that I would get is that we were just given a job and we did it. We are no
Mm,
legends. We are just, ordinary men from an extraordinary unit. They had all the reasons to brag about whatever they had done in their life, you know, big time people. But all they would say is, नहीं हम लोगों ने कुछ नहीं किया. So that was one major learning from that one had to have that kind of humility in one's life.
mm,
And as far as Sudhir is concerned, before I started the book, I just knew about Sudhir, about what his achievements were. I did not know him as a person. I
mm,
just
mm.
knew the list of achievements. He had done this US course, he had volunteered to come to Kargil, and so on and so forth. But the more I met people, the more I learned about him. The one thing that I ended up thinking was that we needed men like this because you know they would make a difference to all the lives that they touch.
Got it.
मतलब कोई
Got it.
भी उनके साथ होगा, they would motivate them. The humility would be passed on and so on and so forth. But so I know now I know Sudhir a lot more. But having said that, he was a human being, so he also had his own flaws, shortcomings. He was not God, but he was still, I mean, a man who can inspire. And some of his seniors actually said that he always left a positive influence on people that he met.
Got
It
it.
was if you were a part of his life, or if he was a part of your life, it would be difficult that you're not affected by him in a positive.
Mm, mm. That's true. So, Jaishi, you have gone through his whole journey during this process. So, is there any anecdote that you know of which you did not make to the book, but is memorable to you at least? If you could narrate that.
No, most of them I have made it to the book.
Okay.
Only one anecdote that I recall, which I have not added in the book, is that when he would come home on leave. Now, his mother was a very socially active person. Despite of
Okay.
the limited means that they had, she would try and influence the women in the society and help the other women in the society. एंड मतलब कभी किसी के घर में शादी हो रही है तो सिलाई का मशीन देना और गिफ्ट कर रहे हैं, या किसी के घर में कोई प्रॉब्लम है तो जाके हेल्प कर रहे हैं एंड ऑल दैट. उन दिनों की बात है. बसेस में ट्रैवल करना होता था, दूर गांव होते थे, दे हैड टू गो फार अवे. तो शी वुड probably घर का काम करके निकल जाते थे, एंड बाय द टाइम शी वुड कम इट वुड बी इवनिंग. अब सुधीर वुड बी एट होम, and when he knew that he knew that mom has gone out and she'll take time to come and she'll be tired when she would come. So before she would come, he would have the entire cooking done in the house, kept it ready for his mom. The moment she would come home, chai bana ke pilate the. And this is the kind of person that he was. And this after he was, after he had become a paragon.
Okay.
So no, matlab, extremely down to
Humble.
earth. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Got it.
just the son when he's at home.
Mm. Got it.
And one of the anecdotes that I can recall, which one of friends, Sudanian friends, narrated was कि वो जैसे भी जब भी छुट्टी पे आते थे तो उनके घर पे जाते थे, उनके दोस्त के घर पे. तो उन दिनों में वहां पे वो जो सीढ़ियाँ, बाम्बू की सीढ़ियाँ होती थी, तो
Mm.
वो उनके घर पे अगर लगी हुई होंगी, तो इसके ये जो फ्रेंड हैं उनकी दादी से ये बात करने के लिए बैठते थे. उसकी दादी पलंग पे बैठेगी और ये वो सीढ़ियाँ, जो सीढ़ियों में वो डंडियां लगी होती है ना बैठने के लिए,
Mm.
यू वुड जस्ट गो एंड सिट देयर. उनकी दादी उनको बोलेगी कि भैया कुर्सी लगा लो, बैठ जाओ अच्छे से. नहीं नहीं, आई एम फाइन हियर. सो दैट वाज द काइंड दैट ही वाज.
Got it. Got it. So, Jaishi, my last question to you would be, because my audience on my channel is majorly defense aspirant, and once they read your book, so what are the various lessons that they can learn from the story of Major Sudhir Walia, which you think?
The one thing that they can learn from Major Sudhir story is your circumstances, your success does not depend on your circumstances. Whatever circumstances you are in, if you have made up your mind that you want to reach this particular goal or you want to achieve this particular thing in your life, you will be able to find the means to do that. if they read the story as to how his parents had to how his parents managed to make him reach Sujanpur, they'll be
Mm,
surprised. So it's not about the circumstances. It's about your own attitude, about your own passion as to how passionate you are about your goal or your dream. If you
got
are
it.
looking for excuses, circumstances can be one of them. But if you are sure of what you want to achieve and you're passionate about it, circumstances can never be. That's
Got
the biggest lesson from Major Sukhdev.
got it. Got it. Thank you, Jaishi, for your time on this session, sharing your
Thank you
experience of
so much.
writing this book. As I've already told you, I've already pre-ordered your book, so I'm also looking forward to read it. So once I read
I
it,
would love
definitely.
to, yes, I would look forward to your feedback on
Yeah. So thanks again, Jaishi, for your time on this session. I hope the a lot of people will get to know about Major Sudhir Walia, Ashok Chakra Sena Medal to Bar, and his life, and probably will get inspired as well. So thanks a lot for doing this,
it.
and Jai Hind.
Thank you so much. Go ahead.